When you came back to Fnatic, and like I said, you initially came on this like trial period. It's just that like if people know the results, this was the period when you like won stuff and we were all finals. So understandably, they made it a permanent thing. Does that imply in some way, Golden? Because from the outside, it does look like when they kicked you the first time, they tried you temporarily because their coach or whatever was like, try this guy from the academy team, and then they were like, oh wait, well we can get exist, and then they were like, oh shit, we won a couple of tournaments. What? Give the other guy like a few more tournaments. Then you had a few more. They were like, right, kick him now, get exist. So if they did that right, and at the time, like they were implying, like, you know, he's not experienced enough to play with us because they're all the super veterans. Does this mean they sort of had to admit that they were wrong when you came back to the team? Was them bringing you back in the team sort of implying, like, maybe we were too hasty, maybe there's more to this? What would you say? Like, obviously, you and Flusher together were both coming back as well. What would you explain about rejoining Fnatic? How was it?
To be honest, I had that thought in my mind. Maybe it was better if you guys kept me. I couldn't actually like say it, or I just had that thought in my mind. But if you look at what happened, and then is that when we were apart, that's when we grew also.
Sure.
So that was a good thing for all of us, for Flusha, for me, and for like Trims and JW. And we grew more as human beings as well, not in game, more like socially, and we were more understanding towards each other, and that was a big thing. So when we came back, can I go into like how?
Give us some thoughts.
So when me and Flusha came back, I was a different player, like a different IGL, different leader than I was before. This time I was coming back with, I was so much more determined, and I was confident in what I believed, right? The first time was like, I'm a rookie, I have to listen to these guys, and so on. Now I had all the, I think I could say I had the experience now, and I had the determination that it is my vision that we're gonna play after, and this is how I wanted to play. So everything from that, and how I like controlled the pace of the game, that was not the first time, it wasn't there, but also the first time I wasn't told to 100%, or like I wasn't helped enough for a rookie to manage that, and I didn't know that I could be a better leader as well at that time when I was with them, the first time. So all those aspects coming in, and we had Brolin as well, which he was fired up when me and Flusha came back. He was playing to his potential and showing what a great player he can be, right? And it was missing from that kid for a long time, in my opinion. So he was activated. We were all like playing. We weren't playing in our primes. I wouldn't say that. We were just playing very good, and we were playing like we were playing so natural that it was easy for everyone to be able to keep up.
Normally, when someone joins a team, especially as the in-game leader, they would normally actually ask for time. Like, you know, give me like 3 or 4 months. Like, I've got to set the system up, blah, blah. You obviously just immediately won DreamHack Malmo. That was like the first event with the team. Then you were in the finals of the other tournaments. If people don't know this stretch, during the LAN period, you had like 5 LANs. You were always top 4 and basically in the finals of most of them. So yeah. This sounds like in line with what you're saying. It's almost like you walked in the door and there was just chemistry.
Yeah. So just before that is that we had a boot camp in London, and I think I prepared so much for that boot camp, and I've never had the guys take that information so fast and apply it to the game. That was so good for us. Like, it was insane that how much we did on that boot camp and how much it helped us. So that boot camp was the best we ever had, and then like from that, it was an easy stroll where you say is like when we were playing on LAN, everything was clicking. We were making decisions based upon like how we believe the game should be played. Not like we were not taking risk that was unnecessary all the time. We're making calculated risks and I was calling also, like, I would say one of my best callings ever.
Right, winning that event is obviously a big deal. Like DreamHack Masters was one, if people don't know, they had all the best teams were in attendance at this competition. In fact, the top 4 is basically the best teams in the world at the time. Right, to win a competition like this, you'd already won the Kovacevicd tournament a year earlier. Like, what do you think, as an in-game leader, is there something different it takes to win big tournaments, to beat the best teams in the world? Is there something extra you need, do you think?
No, I don't like. If you overthink it, that's when it goes wrong. But obviously, you need to tweak some stuff. But also, to be fair to the other teams, they don't know what to expect from us, and they don't know what we had in the arsenal. And I will also say that I improvise a lot of stuff on the spot, and I wouldn't be able perhaps to improvise stuff with other players. But
Right.
with this team, it was much easier for me to improvise, and they could understand what I was getting to like a lot faster, and they just implied it.
Yeah, one of the things, if people remember the success period of this team when it came along in late 2019, early 2024, went online, was people saw like the revival of players like JW and Flusher doing all the old things we used to see them do, the crazy moves, win the clutches, JW do like a ridiculous timing push on someone. It sounds like you understood the players. You were using this as like a tool, right? It's something you can use against people, because I think what we saw from the online period, in my opinion, was you saw a lot of teams play like that when it's online, but online they don't do that if it's like the semi-final of a massive tournament, right? If they're on stage, a lot of these players don't try those moves. So it must be really good as an IGL if you've got the people that can do that, actually, and they want to, and that's their style.
Yeah, like you can see that in the online period. You just mentioned everyone was playing like us, and it was so hard to like counter them. They did what we did to them, but on LAN, and they were doing it at home. Was very rough for us, because it was a problem for like 6 months. Like, how do can we stop thinking about what they're doing and think about us now? Like, we had a lot of meetings, and that was an issue for us in our heads, where we all the time we were like complaining and whining about it. But yeah, and also when you give a lot of space to players, in terms, so you can say like I've said no to a lot of stuff, but I'll also let a lot of stuff go, is because when a player plays by their intuition and what they want to do willingly, is so much better than controlling them into a winning round all the time. But I would say I gave that space, but I also gave that space in the right time. Like, sometimes I didn't want some stuff to happen because we weren't there in the match, in the flow. We were not controlling anything. So for us to take more risk and try to win out the round by like a high risk, then it's not worth it. We're just gonna spiral down in the same thing again, and just it will go worse for us. So understanding when we can use ourselves better was also one of the things. Yeah, and also this is something I got from Valence as well. So sometimes I've encountered players that are stubborn to play in a certain way or learn new stuff. So you can explain it to them in a way of this is how you can explain it to, like, if you talk to them and explain it to them, and then they come up to the answer that you want.
Right, you get them to figure it out. Yeah,
you get them to figure out, and then they will do it much better than you forcing it, right?
Yes.
So that was one of the process, which also helped me like get through to players.
Right, even though people love to do it where they like so many top 2s and top 4s, it was so amazing. Should you have won some of these other tournaments? Should Fnatic have won more titles than just one in this period?
Yes. Oh yeah. We like after I think we lost against EG. We were leading 9 3 or something on the first map, and we lost that. I was devastated. Like I couldn't believe we lost that final as well. But yeah, we should have won more finals. Sadly, I was still like hoping for the future that we would win in the finals, because we didn't have a problem get to the finals. Our problems were in the finals.
Yes.
So that was a different issue that I've never encountered. We used to make jokes like the first final in Katowice, I think it was. Someone said something. I was like, "Hey guys, calm down. This is my first final." Like they were joking about something. I don't remember what it was, and I could just like see it because these guys had played in so many finals, right? They had so much experience. This is my first time in Fnatic in Katowice, and it was for me just like, "Hey guys, calm down. This is my first final." And you can see their vibe was just a lot different than mine.
One of the downsides, unfortunately, when you win with legendary players like this, and obviously those three have won a whole bunch of majors and other things in the past, is when they win, and especially because some of them have such unique playing styles, a lot of fans are just going to look at what they did on the screen and go, wow, it was Flusha doing a clutch that won this game, or it was JW doing that, or Crim's just fragged out, or whatever. So I don't know, actually, if you ever got your credit. Like, I don't know if people, do you feel as though people actually thought you were one of the best in-game leaders? I mean, your team was right on top. Do you think you got your credit?
The second time I got back, or the first time?
Second time round.
No, I like it is. So this is the thing is that as long as my team believes in me, I'm okay with what the public says. But if my teammates think that they're doing my job, then or like don't give me credit, then I feel I'm a more of a like doing it. I like giving stuff to people, or being I'm a giver, not a taker. So it's more of I get the recognition for that, and just appreciate the work I do for them, and that is important for me. That was most important. Yeah. Sorry.
So obviously people know the online period didn't go well, but one thing I wanted to ask was this. If people remember the timing of when we all went online and we had to go into this different world of like how events have been since then, the actual next major wasn't supposed to be that far away, and you guys were one of the best teams. You were always in the semis, the final. Like, one of the things I always thought was sad was you never actually got to see what could have happened at that major. That would have been basically your best chance to win one, right?
Yeah. No, we were on fire. Like, we were hoping to win that, of course, but yeah, like we were looking so good. I can't explain the feeling, but it was it was one of the best CS we've ever played. And I've talked with Flush a lot, like because we used to share rooms, events, and I used to ask him like, are we playing better than when when you guys were winning a lot, or is this like this is a better system, or we playing more consistent? Because we weren't playing consistent the first time I got back. Like we weren't. The players didn't think of consistency as were doing now. Like that was also one of the things we had to explain. Like everything we do has to be based on the risk we take. We cannot take risks that are meaningless. And I used to ask them like a lot of these questions, and ask them if like the CS is better now. So I got a lot of insight of like how I can improve the team as well, because Flusha is still one of the smartest players I've played with, and he is very smart. And why not use your teammate who has all that knowledge?
Right, the player I want to ask about, because aside from what happened to you, I think the other person that was most noticeable has to be JW, because at one point in time online, I remember Flashpoint 2, he was actually doing pretty well. Looked like he'd adapted, and he was even back on the AWP, and everything was looking good. But if people remember the way his career so far sort of ended, it was kind of a bit sad. What do you think happened to JW? Because some people would have said, if you think of all the Fnatic players, he should do awesome online. That is sort of how he plays Counter-Strike. Like, what do you think happened to him?
Like in the last period of online period.
Yeah. What do you think went wrong?
So many things went like not in our way. JW had to change role, and he had to, like, when he was playing op, we kind of wanted him to play in how a modernized opper would play, and that like took a toll on the team, because then Jackinio had to play the rifle, and Jackinio surprisingly needed a lot of attention as well. So it was more of JW just couldn't, I wouldn't say that. JW played, he practiced all those things we told him at the best he could. And when he did that, like when he was like feeling he was playing a lot better, but we still had an issue that Jackinio had also need to be adapted to, but he didn't do it as quickly as JW. So now we gave the AWP role to JW, to Jackinio, and JW had to go back to or go to rifle role, which put it was a hard task, because everyone had to change roles in the team. And now everyone's changing so much, we couldn't find our groove, or JW couldn't find his groove either. But I have, like, JW was doing, yeah, he did his best. I mean, it is sad that how it ended, but I still believe him, as he will come back as a player.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.